Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Shinvitam Swakanta Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Pradayantasto hi Abhadrani Vidinoti Suhrutsatam Nashtapraye Shivabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 12, verses 29 and 30. Parityabhyarcha Dishnagraham Parsadau Abhivandyacha Eshatad Abhisthanam Bibrat Rupam Hiranyamayam. Synonyms: Paritya, having circumambulated; Abhyarcha, having worshipped; Dishnagraham, the transcendental airplane; Parshadav, unto the two associate; Abhivandya, having offered obeisances; Cha, also; Esha, he attempted; Tad, that plane; Adhisthant, the boat; Vibrat, illuminating; Rupam, his form; Hiranmayam, golden. Translation by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Before getting aboard, Dhruva Maharaja worshipped the airplane, circumambulated it, and also offered obeisances to the associates of Vishnu. In the meantime, he became as brilliant and illuminating as molten gold. He was thus completely prepared to board the transcendental plane. By Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. In the absolute world, the plane, the associates of Lord Vishnu and Lord Vishnu himself are all spiritual. There is no material contamination. In quality, everything there is a one. As Lord Vishnu is worshipable, so also are his devotees, his paraphernalia, his aeroplane, and his abode. For everything of Vishnu is as good as Lord Vishnu. Dhruva Maharaja knew all this very well as a pure Vaishnava, and he offered his respect to the associates and to the plane before riding in it. But in the meantime, his body changed into spiritual existence, and therefore it was illuminating like a molten gold. In this way, he also became one with the other paraphernalia of Vishnu Loka. Mayavadi philosopher cannot imagine this oneness can be achieved even in different varieties. Their idea of oneness is that there is no variety. Therefore, they have become impersonalist. As Shishumara, Vishnululoka, or Dhruvaloka are completely different from this material world. So a Vishnu temple within this world is also completely different from this material world. As soon as we are in the temple, we should know very well that we are situated differently from the material world. In the temple, Lord Vishnu, his throne, his room, and all other things associated with the temple are transcendental. The three modes, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna, have no entrance into the temple. It is therefore that to live in the forest is in the mode of goodness, to live in the city is the mode of passion, and to live in a brothel, liquor shop, or slaughterhouses is in the mode of ignorance. But to live in the temple means to live in Vaikuntha Loka. Everything in the temple is as worshipable as Lord Vishnu or Krishna. So, verse 30. Tadotanapada putro darshantakam agatam mrityor murdini padam datva arora abhutam graham. Synonym: Tada, then, Uttanapadaha, of the king Uttanapada, Putraha, son, Dadarsha, could see, Antakam, death personified, Agatam, approached him, Mrtyu Murdini, on the head of the death, Padam, feet, Datva, placing, Aroraha got up. Adbhutam, wonderful. Graham, on the aeroplane which resembled a big house. Translation: when Dhruva Maharaja was attempting to get on the transcendental plane, he saw death personified up him. Not caring for death, however, he took advantage of the opportunity to put his feet on the head of the death, and thus he got up on the aeroplane, which was as big as house. Or to take the passing away of a devotee and the passing away of a non-devotee as one and the same is completely misleading. While ascending the transcendental aeroplane, Dhruva suddenly saw death personified before him, but he was not afraid. Instead of death giving him trouble, Dhruva Maharaja took advantage of death presence and put his feet on the head of the death. People with a poor fund of knowledge do not know the difference between the death of a devotee and the death of a non-devotee. In this connection, an example can be given. A cat carries its kitten in its mouth and it also catches a rat in his mouth. Superficially, the catching of the rat and the kitten appears to be one and the same, but actually they are not. When the cat catches the rat in it, the rat, whereas when the cat catches the kitten enjoys it. When Dhruva Maharaja boarded the airplane, he took advantage of the arrival of the death personified, who came to offer him obeisances. Putting his feet on the head of the death, he got up on the unique aeroplane, which is described here to be as big as a house. There are many other similar instances in Bhagavad literature. It is stated that when Kardama Muni created an aeroplane to carry his wife Ahuti all over the universe, the airplane was like a big city carrying many houses, lakes, and gardens. Modern scientists have manufactured big airplanes, but they are packed with passengers who experience all sorts of discomforts while riding in them. Material scientists are not even perfect in manufacturing a material airplane. In order to compare to the plane used by Kardama or the plane sent from Vaikuntha, they must manufacture an aeroplane equipped like a big city with all of the comforts of life, lakes, gardens, parks, etc. Their plane must be able to fly in outer space and hover and visit all other planets. If they invent such a plane, they will not have to make different space stations for fuel or travel into outer space. Such a plane would have an unlimited supply of fuel, or like the plane from Vaikuntha would fly without it. Om Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachyatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I would like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you for an opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. Canto, the creation of the fourth order, and the chapter 12, Dhruva Maharaja goes back to Godhead. So just to give a quick recap, Dhruva Maharaja stops fighting with Yakshas after Swayambhuva Manu advises to stop the fight. Then Kuvera appears, asks Dhruva Maharaja to request any benediction, and Dhruva Maharaja asks for unflinching faith in and remembrance of the Supreme Personality. Dhruva Maharaja ruled over the planet for 36,000 years and did many sacrifices, and at the end, he went to Badrikashrama, Himalayas. He meditated upon the Lord Archavigraha and went into the trance and completely forgot the bodily existence and liberated from material bondage. As soon as the symptoms of his liberation were manifest, he saw a very beautiful aeroplane coming down from the sky with two Lord associates. There was a conversation between Dhruva Maharaj and the Lord associates, and associates praised Dhruva Maharaj and asked to board the celestial plane to go back to Vaikuntha Loka. So in today's verse describe how Dhruva Maharaja boarded the flight. Dhruva Maharaja paid obeisances to the Lord associates and plane, and he circumambulated the plane before boarding. Here Prabhupada explaining that Lord associates and Lord paraphernalia, his abode, is all worshipable in the same way as Lord. We need to learn from this a lot. Generally, we pay more attention to the Lord and less attention to the fellow Vaishnavas and no attention to other belongings of the Lord. So in spiritual platform, everything is worshipable as Lord with an understanding that Krishna exists in everywhere as Paramatma. The Supreme Lord, by his different energies, namely the internal and external, is within everything in the manifested cosmos. And at the same time, he is outside of everything, situated in the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha Loka, as described. So this is very nicely stated in the Brahma Samhita in 5.37. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Ves Eva Nijarupa Tasya Kalabhi Goloka Eva Nivastiti Akilatma Bhuto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the personality of Godhead Govinda, who by expansion of his internal potency of the transcendental existence, knowledge and bliss, appears in his own and expanded forms. Simultaneously, he enters into every atom of the creation. So, factually, a Vaishnava should always be with the understanding that Krishna exists in everything, moving and non-moving, and everywhere, living and non-living. If you habituate to see Krishna in each and every action of our life, we will quickly move forward in Krishna consciousness. A true Vaishnava lives by example. Here, you see that Dhruva Maharaja did not go and he did not think that Nanda and Sunanda are like drivers. He paid obeisances to the rishis and then Lord associates and finally the plane carrier. So Dhruva Maharaja behaved very humbly. We all have to develop the humbleness like Dhruva Maharaja, Prahlad Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, and other great personalities. So coming back to the Dhruva Maharaja, before he entered into the plane, his body transformed into molten gold with a brilliant effulgence. We are part and parcel of Krishna. Thus, Dhruva Maharaja got brilliant effulgence being part of Krishna as his body transformed from material to spiritual. So if you look at Bhagavad Gita 11.12, Sanjaya described the effulgence of the universal form. Divisurya Sahasra Bhavet Yugapat Uttahita Yadibaha Sadrishi Saya Bhashastasya Mahatmanaha. If 1,000 suns were to blaze together in the sky, they would not match the splendor of the great form of Supreme Lord. So you can see here, like even the 1,000 suns blaze at once, it cannot match the effulgence of a Supreme Personality. So here is the purport. This purport Prabhupada comments about Mayavadi philosophy and becoming oneness. If Mayavada philosophy is correct, there is no variety and no individual existence once merged into the impersonal Brahman. But Krishna says to Arjuna in chapter 2, verse 20 of Bhagavad Gita, Na jayate mrityeva kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va nabhutah ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The soul is neither born, nor does it ever die, nor having once existed, does it ever cease to be. The soul is without birth, eternal, immortal, and ageless. It is not destroyed when the body is destroyed. Based on this verse, Mayavada belief is completely wrong. So in the purport, Prabhupada also talks about the gunas, Sattva guna, Rajo guna, and Tamo guna. Every activities we do outside the temple, it may fall into one of these three modes. But however, activities performed in the temple or at our home altar is completely spiritual and does not carry any karma associated with the gunas. So we need to spend more time in serving Lord than serving ourselves or Maya to be outside from these three gunas. So in the verse 30, next verse, Prabhupada explains about how he entered into the inside of the plane. While going into the inside of the plane, he saw the death personified and he did not hesitate or afraid. And instead, he stepped on the head of the death and entered. Because Dhruva Maharaja is not afraid of the death. Because death is Krishna only. He is coming to liberate us from this conditioned life in the form of a death. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Kalosmi lokakshaya kritra prudvo lokan samarhatam iha pratvaha te pivatvam na bhavishyanti sarve ya vasistha prayanakeshu daha. Time I am destroyer of the worlds, and I have come to engage all people, with the exception of you, Pandava. All other soldiers here on both sides will be slain. So Prabhupada gives a nice example of cat carrying the rat in the mouth and kitten in the mouth. So kitten will be having fun, but rat is fighting to escape the death. So devotees never fear for death. So we have seen several examples in the scriptures like Ambarish Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, and now Dhruva Maharaj. So they know that the death is also Krishna only. Devotees always think in a positive way. If the devotee is healthy, he thinks Krishna, that he could provided me more service to the serve Krishna with his body support. And if he is diseased, he thinks that this body is not suitable to serve the Lord, and Lord is planning to give a new body. With that, he can render more service. So a true Vaishnava always thinks how he can serve Krishna better for increasing the Krishna's pleasure. So in this verse, Prabhupada also talks about the material planes and spiritual planes and their differences. Spiritual planes are not limited by size or shape. They can carry villages or towns or even like cities. However, our material planes are small and have so many disadvantages, and we cannot compete with the spiritual planes in any respect. So in conclusion, the Supreme God has personal form and his bodily effulgence is called Brahman. And though Brahman is undivided, eternal, and original, but still it came from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Understanding Brahman as Supreme is incomplete understanding. So the true Vaishnavas are very humble and respectable, and Lord associates Lord and his paraphernalia in the same way are respectable and worshipable. So we need to learn how to be humble and fearless from the great personalities and implement in our life. So vancha kalpya tarubhyacha krupa sindhubhya evacha pati